Martin Luther King Jr. was born into a middle-class family. He was raised in a society that allowed you to be yourself. King did not face the same racial issues as Malcolm X. King went to a black school, black church, and grew up in a black neighborhood. His family was supportive of his dreams and his ideas. King's parents wanted nothing more than for him to be happy. Malcolm X did not grow up in a typical family. The KKK burned down his family's house in 1929. After the death of his father 2 years later, Malcolm and his 7 brothers and sisters were sent to live in white foster homes. Malcolm X was raised and went to school in a predominantly white world where he was specifically targeted for racial slurs and degradation. The early backgrounds of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King were largely responsible for the distinct different responses to American racism. Both men ultimately became towering icons of contemporary African American culture and had a great influence on Black Americans. However, King had a more positive attitude than Malcolm X, believing that through peaceful demonstrations and arguments, blacks would be able to someday achieve full equality with whites. Malcolm X's despair about life was reflected in his angry, pessimistic belief that equality is impossible because whites have no moral conscience. King basically adopted an integrationalist philosophy, whereby he felt that blacks and whites should be united and live together in peace.
And ivory live together in perfect harmony, side by side on my piano keyboard.
Malcolm X, however, promoted nationalist and separatist doctrines. For most of his life, he believed that only through revolution and force could blacks attain their rightful place in society. Malcolm X joined the Nation of Islam because he believed in the power of Allah and believed in what Elijah Muhammad was preaching. Elijah Muhammad, the leader of the NOI, taught his followers that the white community was trying to batter down the black community and keep them out of political power. The NOI was striving for separate states for blacks and whites. They did not want integration, they wanted complete separation. The NOI wanted a state only for blacks, free from oppression. The NOI tried to accomplish this by being violent, staging raids, and using force against all opposers, saying that all white Americans were the same. If violence is wrong in America, violence is wrong abroad. If it is wrong to be violent defending black women and black children and black babies and black men, then it is wrong for America to draft us and make us violent abroad in defense of her. And if it is right for America to draft us and teach us how to be violent in defense of her, then it is right for you and me to do whatever is necessary to defend our own people.
Freedom of these people by any means necessary.
In 1963, Malcolm X broke off from the NOI. Malcolm had learned that Elijah Muhammad was having sexual relations with as many as 6 women from the NOI. In addition to that atrocity, there were children that were being born. Malcolm formed his own group, the Muslim Mosque Incorporated, in 1964. Malcolm traveled to Mecca, Saudi Arabia, to pay tribute to Allah. Malcolm wrote, "Packed in the plane were white, brown, black, red, and yellow people, blue eyes and blonde hair, and my kinky red hair, all together, brothers, all honoring the same God, Allah, all in turn giving equal honor to each other. In America, white man meant specific attitudes and actions towards the black man and toward all other non-white men. But in the Muslim world, I had seen that men with white complexions were more generally brotherly than anyone else had ever been."
Religious pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca, where I met many people from all over the world, plus spent many weeks in Africa, trying to broaden my own scope and get more of an open mind to look at the problem as it actually is. One of the things that I realized, and I realized this even before going over there, was that our African brothers have gained their independence faster than you and I here in America have. They've also gained recognition and respect as human beings much faster than you and I. Just 10 years ago on the African continent, our people were colonized. They were suffering all forms of colonization, oppression, exploitation, degradation, humiliation, discrimination, and every other kind of agent. And in a short time, they have gained more independence, more recognition, more respect as human beings than you and I have. And you and I live in a country which is supposed to be the citadel of education, freedom, justice, democracy, and all of those other pretty sounding words. So it was our intention to try and find out what was our African brothers doing to get results, so that you and I could study what they had done and perhaps gain from that benefit from their experiences.
Malcolm X had finally found common ground with Martin Luther King. Instead of striving for violence and separation, X had finally figured out what Martin Luther King was fighting for, and together they conquered. Martin Luther King was not just about nonviolence. A few weeks after Malcolm X quit the Nation of Islam, he and Martin Luther King were both in the Visitors Gallery of the United States Senate building for the debate on the Civil Rights Act of 1964. After the session, they spoke to each other. King made contact with Malcolm through his lawyer and suggested the two meet. A meeting was scheduled but did not occur. The two did speak to each other several times by phone. In February 1965, Malcolm and Martin spoke by phone and agreed to meet soon and discuss how they might work together. Malcolm X's home was firebombed later that night. A week later, Malcolm X was assassinated, just 2 days before a scheduled meeting with Martin Luther King Jr. In the end of the struggle, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X had merged their two ideas. Malcolm X became a more pacifist at the same time that Martin Luther King was beginning to see the potential of no longer being nonviolent. However, despite their differences, these two men were the ones that eventually helped gain rights for African Americans across America.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Could study the problems of our people for a period of time and then come up with a new analysis and give us some new ideas and some new suggestions as to how to approach a problem that too many other people have been playing around with for too long. And that we would have some kind of meeting and determine at a later date whether to form a black nationalist party or a black nationalist army.
We're making, we're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day, just you and me. Well, send them your heart, oh, so they know that someone cares.
So their cries for help will not be in vain.
Head of the camera. Wait, hang on. Keep in there, Colton. It's coming. Let's go.
I said stop!
Okay, you're good.